ClimateAction.tech is a community of technology professionals who are focusing on climate change as an issue and action related to climate change within and outside of our industry. So we're running this call. It's the first of its kind, and it's designed to be a place to share ideas and facilitate conversation within our community. So today's speaker is going to be Sandra Pallier, and she's going to talk about changing culture, collaboration and activism in the workplace.
Oh, thank you very much, Andy. So yeah, I'm Sandra, as most of you probably know, because I sent out all of the messages about this first CAT Salon. Yeah, and I'm one of the organizers of ClimateAction.tech, and yeah, today we're talking about changing culture, collaboration and activism in the workspace. And I want to kick this off by basically just saying or discussing how corporations change their culture and practice. So if you think about it, there's two ways that corporations can change, either through outside pressure and from like influences from the outside, like media, politics, customers, market pressure, and sometimes also internal actors supporting outside pressure. So that will be employees basically publicly applying pressure to the company for change. And then there's change from the inside. And when it comes to change from the inside, in corporations, you can either have top-down change. So that would happen, for example, if you would have new leaders come in who would change how things work and how things are done, or if existing leaders introduce new programs or figure out new ways to work. Or it can happen from the bottom up rather than top down. And in that case, it would be grassroots employees banding together, I guess, to create change from within. And in the entire context of this conversation, we'll be focusing on change from the inside and particularly change from bottom up. Some of the other levers that we as tech workers have are obviously still relevant and will still probably come up in the discussion, but I want to hone in more in this beginning bit on change from the inside. So as tech employees, we have a lot of power that other industries may not have, or that other people working in other jobs may not have. And I guess one of the big differentiators of the tech industry as well is that that power can sometimes be welcomed. So if we express our opinions, it can actually be welcomed by the organization and lead to a change in culture or change in policy. Now, when you think about that for your own company, I guess it's important to figure out how resistant your company or organization is to upward pressure from the employees. But as I said, in tech, often the resistance can be low. In other cases, the resistance is high, and sometimes it's just not very clear. If you then take that power, as I said before, those grassroots teams, I guess, often then take the form of unofficial green teams who bring knowledge from areas within the company and bring insights to a broader internal discussion. So for example, if I work as a designer, I might know specific things about design relating to the climate crisis. I might know specific other things that I can then bubble up and let more people within the company know, either other designers or cross-discipline other employees as well. And I guess the main point of green teams is to get together and turn those insights that each of us has about the climate crisis or about another topic, take those insights and turn them into actions. So actions can take different forms. So they can take the form of influencing the company policy with leadership behind the scenes. or they can take the form of a conference or a public statement. Those actions can be lunch and learns, where you basically just tell your fellow team members what you've learned and how you, I guess, how you think the company could work better. Depending on which level those green teams reach for, so whether the reach is, or the goal is to convince leadership, and you already have one person in the leadership team who's invested in this, change might happen more or less quickly. Another way, which is supportive of companies changing from within, is to get together across company boundaries towards common understandings and goals. So there's one example that you may already know of, you might not, which is called 11 at 11, where employees from different companies get together for 11 minutes at 11 a.m. every Friday to basically show support for the student climate strikers who are obviously striking on Fridays. The fact that it's only 11 minutes and I guess always at 11 a.m. is based on when it started. So it kicked off last year, where there was a report that came out that we had 11 years to basically solve climate change. And based on that, students asked people like in different industries to stand with them for 11 minutes, taking that 11-minute break at 11 a.m. Every Friday. And some companies have started doing that. And the main things that it's been encouraging, I guess, have been supporting the students first and foremost, but it's also been encouraging climate conversations. So very often the climate isn't really discussed that much at companies. So this format can open up a great space to bring people in, because it's a short 11 minutes that you can just dip in and out of, I guess, where you can ask questions or just figure out what the company is doing on that front. And it really helps to start forming a community as well, which may then lead into a green team that tackles bigger challenges, or it may not. And I think that's all I have. Oh, no, not quite. Yeah, I think overall, the fact that we have a privileged position as tech workers is something that we should be constantly aware of and that we should use, whether that's through change from the inside, like within green teams and like this bottom up, or whether that's from the outside is up to the individual, of course. But there is a inherent privilege that we have, and I think we should make sure to use it properly and use it responsibly. And with that, I think I'm gonna hand back over to Andy.
Sure, thank you for that, Sandra. Really appreciate that. And yeah, a lot to think about there in terms of you know, our position as technologists within the industry. What can be done within companies? What can be done outside of companies? What can be done across companies? And how do we monitor that, and how do we make sure that that's beneficial?